After nung inspection, we will get that 20,000 from the lawyer. So yun yung gagamitin namin pang pay off ng mga credit cards and yung mga kung sino man na pinagkuhanan namin ng fund para i-finance tong project. Hello everyone! Welcome back sa ating vlog. So into this video guys, pag-uusapan na natin in detail kung ano nga ba yung mga nangyayari kasi for the past few vlogs natin na napansin niyo na yung financial aspect ng buhay namin yung pinag-uusapan natin. So medyo lumihis tayo dun sa pagiging international student, pero I just want to clarify once and for all kung ano talagang nangyayari sa likod ng mga numbers na binitawan ko nung last few two videos natin. Kasi marami tayong na-receive na feedbacks, comments, advices dun sa YouTube channel natin sa dalawang posts na binigay natin. So sa mga hindi nakakaalam, kagagraduate ko lang as international student last December and hindi pa kami PR right now, and we bought a house last May of 2023, and sometime last week I think nag-post ako about draining our funds, and then the following video explaining why we bought a house. So yan, gusto ko lang i-address kung paano kami napadpad doon sa paggamit namin ng emergency fund namin and resorting to credit card debts para ma-finance yung pagpapagawa ng basement. Kasi sa last video natin, napag-usapan natin doon na kaya namin pinapadevelop yung basement is because of urgency, na kailangan namin matapos yon. That's number one, kasi merong papunta dito sa Canada na kailangan namin i-accommodate. So that's number one. So at this point guys, gusto ko lang i-share na sa inyo na don't worry too much about our financial status right now kasi everything is under control. But let me explain to you guys kung bakit namin nagamit yung emergency fund namin. So basically guys, nung bumili kami ng bahay, binili namin siya ng mortgage plus improvement. Anong ibig sabihin ng mortgage plus improvement? So binili namin yung bahay ng 342,000 pero nagpa-add kami ng improvement funds na 20,000. Ngayon, the original plan was mag-hire kami ng contractor or developer, renovator na gagawa ng basement namin for 20,000 Canadian dollars. And then yung 20,000 na yon, makukuha nila yon doon sa lawyer namin after ng inspection. So basically, sila muna dapat yung mag-finance ng basement development, and then later on, pag nagawa na, sabi ko nga, kukunin nila yung pera from the lawyer. Pero guys, what we realized between May hanggang July, yung scope of work nung quotation nila for 20,000 Canadian dollars is not enough para masatisfy yung gusto naming mangyari sa basement. So basically, ang scope nung 20,000 na quotation nila is iwo-wall nila yung living room, and then maglalagay sila ng ng full bathroom, and then ceiling tsaka floor plus yung stairs. Yun yung scope ng 20,000. But we realize guys na yung basement namin, yung room na nandoon na existing room, hindi siya ganun kagandang na finish. So, para alam nyo yun, hindi siya polished maigi. So, gusto namin siyang i-revise and hinati namin siya sa dalawa para maging one bed, one den. So, ang ginawa namin, ni-revise namin yung plan namin, and instead of yung living room lang yung gagalawin nila plus yung bathroom, hahatiin na rin nila yung sa bedroom para at least ma-refinish nila yung ceiling tsaka yung mga walls and everything like that. So, nung naghanap kami ng contractor guys, kasi nga, sabi ko nga sa inyo, ang initial plan talaga, yung 20,000 na kay lawyer, yun yung kukunin nila after matapos yung project. Pero another realization is that kapag ganun yung gagawin ng contractor ninyo, or ito yung tinatawag nilang contractor financed project, medyo mas mahal ng medyo mas mahal talaga yung contract price. So nakakuha kami ng quotation for approximately 30,000 for that idea na gusto namin gawin sa basement. So after that, sabi namin, kung 30,000, 20,000 lang yung nasa lawyer, so kailangan ulit namin mag-shell out ng additional 10,000. So, ang ginawa namin, naghanap kami ng ibang contractor. So, basically, nag-contact ako sa Facebook Marketplace ng mga renovation construction or basement renovation contractors. Tapos, feeling ko parang 3 or 4 na contractors yung pumunta dito. So, nagkaroon kami ng better idea kung magkano talaga dapat yung gagastusin namin for that kind of plan na kami yung gagasto. So, doon na pumasok yung idea na what if kami na lang muna mag-finance para matapos yung basement na sa gusto naming layout, and then after nun, kukunin na lang namin yung funds from the lawyer. So that's basically what we did. So nakahanap kami ng contractor namin for 18,000 Canadian dollars. Yes, 18,000 Canadian dollars for the layout na gusto naming mangyari. So, take note guys, yung difference kasi from 18,000, kapag sila yung mag-finance, that would be 30,000. So, dalawang contractor to. Si contractor A, 30,000. Si contractor B, 18,000. The only difference, si contractor B, kami ang mag-finance. Pero si contractor A, sila yung mag-finance. I did the math. Chinek ko kung saan ko pwedeng kunin yung funds for that 18,000 renovation. So yun, based sa last video natin, sabi ko nga, kumuha ako sa credit, yung imbis na pagbabayad ko sa credit card bills namin, hinold ko muna para yung cash na sa akin, para magamit ko dun sa basement renovation, and then some portions, kumuha ko sa kapatid ko. Kasi alam naman namin na at the end of the day, yung improvement fund na yun, makukuha rin naman namin. So, what we did is source out ng fund, tapos kinalculate ko yung magiging interest. And approximately, kapag natapos nila yun within 1 month, so mag-i-interest lang kami for 1 month, nasa $500 yung i-add namin towards the interest. So at the end of this project, kapag nagawa ni contractor ng tama yung sa plano, ng tama sa plano, plus tama sa budget, tinitignan namin siguro maximum 19,000 yung total project cost namin for the basement renovation. So ang mangyayari after that, pagkatapos ng renovation, tatawagan ko na yung mortgage broker ko para mag-send sila ng inspector to inspect kung nagawa ba lahat ng nasa quotation nung initial plan namin. So what will happen next, after nung inspection, we will get that 20,000 from the lawyer. So yun yung gagamitin namin pang pay off nung mga credit cards and yung mga kung sino man na pinagkuhanan namin nung fund para i-finance tong project. So that's basically what happened. So yung pagkagamit namin ng emergency fund namin is just temporary. It's not permanent. So 1 to 2 months lang yung preno project ko na magagamit yon. Then after that, once we receive the funds from the lawyer, magiging back on track na yung finances namin. So to give clarity lang dun sa improvement guys, kapag kasi meron kang mortgage plus improvement, yung improvement part, which is yung 20,000 in our case, is sinama na sa mortgage namin. So, every month na binabayaran na namin yon. So, after ng basement development, makukuha mo yung fund na yon. Kasi kailangan mo lang patunayan dun sa lender na, okay, sinabi mo nung una, nung nagka-apply ka, napapagawa mo yung basement. So, we give you this fund, pero hindi mo magagalaw hanggang matapos mo yung basement. That's basically the premise of that kind of situation or arrangement. So, doon lang medyo nagkabulilyaso kasi nga, sabi ko nga, hindi namin makuha yung saktong timpla nung sa contractor and namamahalan kami sa gusto naming layout. Kaya nag-resort kami na lang muna mag-finance and then later on, kunin na lang namin yung funds from the lawyer. And dun sa mga nag-comment guys, mapa-positive or negative yung feedback ninyo, I take it very seriously and that's actually an eye-opener for me for my future decisions. Sana yung mga subscriber din natin, yung mga viewers din natin, I encourage you to read those comments kasi they really have valid points. So, hindi mo siya iti-take lightly. Kaya nagpapasalamat ako kasi nakakuha tayo ng free advices from different point of view. Kasi, syempre, alam naman natin, kapag ginagawa mo yung decision, it's only your point of view and your spouse or the people around you. Pero ang naging malaking impact sa akin dito, nakita ko yung other side of the equation. So, ganito pala yung tingin nila dun sa situation namin para at least right now, mas magiging informed na kami sa mga magiging future decisions namin. Kaya yun guys, thank you so much for sharing your opinions and advices. And another thing na gusto kong pag-usapan natin right now is yung risk profile ng isang tao. So, alam naman natin na sa lahat ng financial decisions, mapamalakian or maliit, we have different risk tolerance or risk appetite. So, meron dyan kasing mga low risk people, may medium risk people, tsaka merong high risk people. So, I think nagko-qualify ako doon or pumapasok yung risk profile ko doon sa high risk kasi I believe in a high risk, high return. And of course, kapag high risk, medyo mataas din yung magiging loss mo just in case. And then, I respect naman those people who wants to maintain a low risk profile. Ito yung mga tipong ayaw ng masyadong sudden movements, ayaw ng uncertainties. I respect that. That's totally okay. And yung mga medium like piniplay safe nila pero piniplay smart din nila yung situation. I really respect that. Pero take note guys, we do have a different risk profile. Nagkataon lang na yung profile ko is high risk and it might not align doon sa risk profile ninyo kaya nyo nasasabi yung ibang mga comments ninyo, but that's totally fine. That's part of the game. Kasi nga hindi talaga lahat magiging pareho yung decision pag binigyan ka ng isang case. Kaya nga sa mga case studies, di ba, kahit iisang case yan, pag pinakita mo yan sa iba't ibang tao, may chances na iba-iba ang magiging result or magiging recommendation nila. Depende sa perspectives nila. So, one more thing na kaya nasabi kong medyo risky yung profile ko kasi just by going here in Canada is actually a big risk na tinake namin kasi ang daming uncertainties during that time, especially that's during COVID. So, what if during the flight makatch namin yung COVID or mahawa kami ng COVID? That's one risk na kailangan namin i-take. What if pagdating namin dun wala kaming mahanap na trabaho? That's additional risk na kailangan namin i-take. What if sa tagal-tagal ko doon, hindi ako makahanap ng accounting job? That's additional risk na kailangan kong i-take kasi I'm already an accountant in the Philippines, then I'm risking everything for a new life here in Canada. So, that's just proves na I'm actually a risk taker. So, and yun guys, ang buhay natin ay punong-puno yan ng risk kahit maliit or malaki ang decision na gagawin ninyo. Meron at merong lalabas dyan na hindi mo na plano. Hopefully, this video will finally close the chapter na pag-usapan natin yung financial distress na naramdaman namin or naranasan namin. But guys, to reassure you again, don't worry too much about our financial status. Everything is taken care of. And lahat ng factors na mga nabanggit nyo guys, some of them medyo natakil na namin nung nag-decide kami, pero some of them are totally new. So, thank you so much for that again. So, I hope you find this video helpful and sana na-clear yung agam-agam ninyo tungkol sa finances namin ni Dayan dito sa Canada. Yan, thank you so much for watching. Again, this is Edwin from the Risk Canada Vlog. Always remember to stay humble and always stay focused on yung mga goals. And as always guys, I'll see you sa next vlog. Bye-bye!